Good morning, and thanks so much for tuning into the trade setup. I'm Neeraj Shah. Let's get started with the key news flow. The global markets are benign. The S&P 500 actually gained as yields slid amidst Fed pause bets. Though I don't know how long these bets will last until tomorrow, because there will be some bit of how do I say it? A bit of not a jitter really, but anxiousness around the Jackson Hole Symposium and what Jerome Powell has to say. Stock futures, though, the US stock futures have climbed as Nvidia beat Wall Street earnings estimates. And that's what I'm saying. Good global markets yesterday. Looks like a positive market today as well, at least the NASDAQ. And therefore, the cues around our markets are positive. Sugar has surged, and concerns of India export curb as output has dropped across the world. US crude inventory fell to the lowest since December 30. Frankly, world over, the world crude inventory, as I saw in one of the Bloomberg posts, seems to suggest that global stockpiles are at multi-year lows. Does that mean, therefore, that if the OPEC takes even one move towards reducing production in any fashion coming closer to winter, are we looking at upsides to crude? Well, I don't want to preempt really such a volatile commodity, just reporting the news as they are. But the US market, like I said, did well yesterday. So the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. Uh, okay, this is the story that Virat has brought it up. The US stockpiles have dropped to the lowest level this year. Thanks for that, Virat. Um, it'll be on our website as well, by the way. So this is what the US markets did. Strong show, and the Dow, NASDAQ futures, as I said, are up close to 1%, driven by Nvidia's earnings sentiment. So watch out for US markets. Yields relative, the other cues will come up on your screen. Yields relative to what they were are lower. Look at that, 4.21 versus 4.31 yesterday versus a high of 4.35 or thereabouts. So certainly some bit of a downtick in yields, which is very, very welcome, if you will. The gift nifty, though, indicating a flattish start and not surprising per se, but we may pick up a little bit of steam. By the way, so first, what happened yesterday? Nifty 50 gained about 48 points to close at 19,444. Bank Nifty, after a really long time, put up its hand, increased by about 1.1%, led by Federal Bank and followed by Axis Bank. And frankly, that was a key that despite these banks doing well because they were weightage, the Nifty PSU Bank was still the top gainer amongst indices, followed by the Nifty Private Bank. So PSU banks continue to dominate versus private banks. Frankly, if you look at a story that Dr. C.K. Narayan put out on the weekend, not a story, but his opinion column over the weekend, this wonderful chart around how it's not just a recent phenomenon. Since I think November 2020 is what he points down, the ratio of PSU banks to private banks, select bundle of PSU banks to private banks, the ratio has consistently come up, which means that PSU banks have actually outperformed private banks. A bunch of PSU banks have outperformed private banks, not just right now, since November 2020. Quite a stunning statistic, really. Nevertheless, so that's what happened in markets yesterday. Now, the trade setup, I think it's difficult to see a trending up move. Okay. Virat is trying to get stuff, and this is the chart that I was talking about. So I'll just get to trade setup in a bit. But yeah, these are 1 week candlesticks. And if you see that peak, that is November 2020 or thereabouts, since then, the CNX PSU Bank, the Nifty Private Bank, you can see that the performance has been in favor of the CNX PSU Bank. Quite a telling statistic. Okay, thanks Virat for that. Let's move on to the trade setup. It's difficult to see a trending up move ahead of the Jackson Hole address in the markets. We were well today as well. Will this trend continue in the next into tomorrow's session as well? I would suspect not, but I may be wrong. Remember, for the last few days, I've been saying that quant indicators are still saying that the market is not a short and selectively would be a long. And frankly, while the headline indices have just moved yesterday, we've seen traction witnessed at the broader end of the market for the last few days, right? I mean, the Nifty mid cap 100, let's say the Nifty mid cap 100 or the Nifty mid cap 150, whichever index you take, right? And if you just see what's happened at that end of the spectrum, or the BSE 500, right? Let me just try and pull up the BSE 500 index. And if you look at it, the last 5 days, the BSE 500 index has gained from 21st August. It was at 26,553. It's at 26,892. So while the mid cap, large caps haven't moved too much, the broader end of the spectrum certainly has made a bit of a move, and therefore we're starting to see that up move already. Uh, Media stocks are now starting to show a bit of a trend the last few days, but there is zero, almost zero institutional activity as yet. At least the ones that I've spoken to, there is no activity out there. And therefore, I don't know if this becomes an uptrend, because usually you need the big money to come in for an uptrend to emerge. Don't see that happening as yet, but that may change. Sun TV, for example, yesterday was up about 5% at 5.19 times the average volumes. Similarly, so that's the point I'm making about media stocks. So the key price and volume movers will come up on your screen next. There's Sun TV, strong up move there. Federal Bank and RBL Bank from the banking side doing a small move yesterday, which is a good sign to see. There was HAL always there, and Crompton Greaves had a bit of a move. But yep, the point that I'm trying to make is in the first three. Media, Sun TV, some of the others, the Network 18 twins have done well. Z is in a FNO ban, so I think until that moves out, it might be difficult to see a big up move, because a large up move happened on the day of the announcement. But never know, there could be more in store. So media is certainly emerging as a pocket in focus. An IPO update, and I don't usually do this, but just the quantum of subscription in Aeroflex, 21 times on day two. I suspect that today we might well see this stock, or this, not this stock really, this IPO, see some very high subscription levels, very close to what some of the other companies have done. Um, just the fact that on day one it was 6 times, day two it's 21 times, leads me to believe that there could be some interesting statistic coming in at the end of the day today. So let's wait and watch. Like I said, the anchor book and the pre-IPO allocation to 2 or 3 smart investors has been pretty interesting. Let's see what Aeroflex does today. Last day to subscribe to the IPO, by the way. If you like it, please do your own due diligence. Just subscription doesn't mean that's a company that will necessarily do well. But yes, I can assure you that good subscription does mean that you might get a pop, even if you don't want to hold the stock. So therefore, from a trading perspective, investing perspective, how you look at it might be an interesting one to look at. I would urge you to see the IPO order that my colleague Sajid Mangat would have done with the Aeroflex management, and that will give you an insight or two about what the company is about. I would urge everybody to take a call on subscription only post understanding a little bit about the company. But the numbers are talking, and therefore it's my duty to bring to you what the numbers are saying, as is the case with the stocks to focus on today. So Coforge is the first one on my list. Hulse PV to sell up to 26.63% of outstanding shares. The floor price is at 4550 per equity share, at about a 7.4% discount to the current market price. So watch out for Coforge today. Remember that SJS had a large equity sale just 2 days back, and the stock ended 3% higher. I'm not saying the same will happen with Coforge. If anything, I would suspect that the sector that it is in, and because IT is not exactly in favor, Coforge may start lower and stay lower, but who knows? If the buying interest is strong, then the reverse may happen as well. Reliance Industries, Qatar Investment Authority to invest about 8,278 crore in Reliance Retail Ventures at a pre-money equity value of 8.278 lakh rupees, 8.278 lakh crore rupees. So watch out, Reliance. It's about time that the big boy makes some bit of a move for the index. Let's see if this leads the stock to do it. I have no idea whether it will move or not, because Reliance has been a bit of a dog of a stock recently, but let's wait and watch. Vascon Engineers has received orders worth 605 crores from Bihar Medical Services and Infrastructure Corporation for construction of a couple of buildings. For Vascon, this seems to be a sizable order. The stock was up about 11% day before yesterday. Let's see if there's some more out there. NHPC, there's no amount attached to this, but it's an accord with Andhra Pradesh Power Generation Corporation for AP Hydro as well as renewable projects. Maybe NHPC has a bit of a move. Remember, it's won some orders recently, as have some of the others as well, like SJVN, etc. So could be interesting. PNG Health, revenues up 1.78%, EBITDA down though, Q4 that is, margins down, net profit down, is declared a dividend. The FY23 numbers look okay, but these numbers don't look all that great. Maybe the stock reacts negatively, who knows? But there's a large dividend that they've announced as well, which could help. Large as in 50 rupees. For that size, it's not very large, but yeah, whatever. And then some brokerage notes. So, there is, viewers, there is also this note from Incred Capital on BCL Industries, if I'm not wrong, because yesterday or day before, there was this announcement about uptick in the price of ethanol, which is grain based, if I'm not wrong. and that could have been constructive for BCL, I think, which is why Incred has this uptick, price target uptick given on BCL. So do watch out for this one. I'll tell you the note as well. I think it says, yes, they've increased the target price to 925 rupees per share from 790. They say BCL industry should gain on the top line front with capacity addition firing on all cylinders and the benefits of innovation on the power cost front to fully accrue in the coming quarters. So yeah, watch out for this one. Watch out for PAYTM. Bernstein has an outperform rating with a target price of 1100, which is a 31% upside. They say they find PAYTM a dominant digital payments platform with a promising head start in the lending business. They find the company to be on the right side of the disruption. They expect its loan disbursal volumes to grow sharply and achieve a market share of 4%, but which is in a high yield, which is the above 13% interest rate household lending segment, which is actually a telling statistic. And this is the important line, right? They expect the business to break even by FY25 and generate an EPS of 130 rupees by FY30. Well, that could be interesting for a business like Paytm. And I don't know if this brings about an immediate move on the stock or no, but it's a very interesting note, very constructive note, and therefore could be one to watch out for today. You know, in the same note, on SBI cards, they've been initiating underperform on SBI cards Bernstein with a target price of 650 rupees per share. So may not be great news for them. So SBA cards, let's wait and watch how that one reacts if it does. Nevertheless, that's the long and short of the trade setup today. The MK Global Financial had the 3-day investor conference last week, and on back of that, we getting Nirav Sheth to try and get a sense of what were the key takeaways from that investor conference. So talking point at 10 a.m. is focusing on that, and the normal trade talk conversations continue during the course of the day. Thanks so much for joining in on the trade setup today.